different reality. You and I are of a kind, a different reality. You and I are of a kind, a different reality. You and I are of a kind, a different reality. I could have called you friend. You and I are of a kind, a different reality. You and I are of a kind, a different reality. You and I are of a kind, a different reality. You and I are of a kind, a different reality. I could have called you friend. You and I are of a kind, a different reality. You and I are of a kind, a different reality. You and I are of a kind, a different reality. You and I are of a kind, a different reality. I could have called you friend. You and I are of a kind, a different reality. You and I are of a kind, a different reality. You and I are of a kind, a different reality. You and I are of a kind, a different reality. I could have called you friend. You and I are of a kind, a different reality. You and I are of a kind, a different reality. You and I are of a kind, a different reality. You and I are of a kind, a different reality. I could have called you friend. You and I are of a kind, a different reality. You and I are of a kind, a different reality. You and I are of a kind, a different.
Hey guys, Michael J. Crawford, the anti-tracker here. Good to see you all, except for Darren and Captain Trek, who are going to be jerks. But the rest of you, good to see you all. So, Darth Maul was first in the house, says hail. Dreams out there says why. And, of course, that was even before Ms. Burnham showed up for her lovely screeching. Darren says, please bring back Piano Dean. He made good music. He does make good music. And you know what? I love Piano Dean's music. The only problem with Piano Dean's music is every single time I do a live stream, I get a copyright strike because his music is so good that they think it's the original. And so, you know, that's the only reason I don't play it every time, is because I'm trying to keep the channel moving in a positive direction. When you keep getting all these copyright strikes, YouTube likes to suppress your channel. So I'm trying to figure out a way around that. Darth Maul says, because quantum. Yes, indeed. Locutus says, Discovery is a different reality I will never consider to be canon. I understand that, Locutus. The problem is that you know, it's, and I know it's a common thing. People argue about it all the time, but there's a difference between canon and continuity. Canon is absolutely dictated by whoever owns the IP. So in this particular case, Viacom CBS, they get the final word on what is or is not canon. Now, it is definitely not in continuity with other Trek, and that's a major problem that a lot of us fans, including myself, have a big problem with it. But unfortunately, we don't own the property. As much as we would like to say we do, we don't. And Captain Trek thinks the music sucks as bad as disco. Yeah, whatever. This week was almost a good episode if you took out all the Michael Burnham fan wanking. Well, you know, the problem is that this week the episode was all centered around Michael Burnham fan wanking. I mean, there was like 3 or 4 different scenes in which different people had to tell Michael Burnham how awesome she was. There's also the fact that even though, and if you saw my review that I put out this morning, you already know this, but the fact that they set up, and this is where I really question the writers here as to why. I don't understand their motives here, because organically, the way the story was constructed, Nan should have saved the day at the end of the episode. Everything pointed to it, and it even would make sense, especially if she's going to stay on the siege ship and and take over the mission for those that have passed away. What a great send-off, right? But no. Even though Nan was the only person it's as bad as when in season 2 when they were at Kaminar, or however you say it, where Saru is from, and Captain Pike looks right at Michael Burnham and says, "You're the one to go make contact," when he's got the only Kelpian who's ever been off that planet standing right next to him. Right? It's just, how insane do they have to be to break what would be a natural, organic moment just so that you can say Michael Burnham is the best? It doesn't make any freaking sense whatsoever. All right, so let's see. Darren says, anti-checker, can't you stop sucking? Wow. Whatever. Valor says, I like the opening. You like to think that Burnham is trapped in some kind of living endless hell. See, there you go. Somebody gets it. Darren says, okay, music's over, rage subsiding, heart rate decreasing. Oh, I see how it is. Well, Darren, it just takes a touch of a button.
I regret that we meet in this way.
Don't tempt me, Darren. Don't tempt me. Let's see. Greg, I'm going to stop reading insults to my music. Greg says, aren't there supposed to be 13 episodes for season 3? Not halfway there yet. Canceled all access after Picard. Oh, you're right. I think it is 13. I for some reason I was thinking 10. I was getting it confused with Lower Decks, a far better show. And honestly, it's funny because the trailer for episode 6 honestly looks better than the last couple episodes, but that's not saying much, because the trailer for episode 6 looks very much like what we got in episode 1 and 2. And so it's almost like episode 3, 4, and 5 were just like completely thrown together by people that had no idea what was going on. And now in episode 6, we're going to get back to what the story was. Because we're dealing with the Orions and the Andorians again, and Book and his stuff and all that, which obviously was actually interesting. So, what are you doing, Auntie? Dang, you're making a lot of noise back. Auntie, what are you doing, girl? You getting in trouble? You better not be. All right. Darren says, where is Hulk? I love you too, Darren. There was still a lot of cry. Yeah, the show, it's funny. Sorry, my sinuses are still really, really bad. Yesterday, I couldn't even make it to the virtual pub, and but I'm fighting through. Auntie, come here. Yeah, you need to stop digging around, girl. All right. Yes, you can come over here. All right. Where was I? If you mean a lot of crying in the episode, yeah. I mean, it's like we're supposed to be feeling emotional, but the problem is that the way they're writing it it pulls me out whenever they do these things, like where they butchered Nan's character at the end. It made no sense that they had to have Michael step in and be a better understander of Nan's people than Nan. Screw that noise. And Valor says, sorry, I meant I, not you. Typo on my part. You like the opening. I like to think that Burnham is trapped in. So, yeah, well, that's kind of what I was thinking with that. So, that's all right. Don't completely understand the Section 31 part. What did you mean? Well, okay, so the guy that looks kind of like the Man in Black from the Half-Life games, which you've never played the Half-Life games, not really an important reference, but he does look kind of like that guy. But the guy that was interrogating Georgiou. My personal theory is at this point, he is, because he's obsessed with the Terrans. He obviously is into some shady stuff. So I'm thinking maybe he is Section 31 in the 32nd century. And I know a lot of people saying, well, they can't do the Section 31 show until they get Georgiou back to the 23rd century. Why? Why does it have to be in the 23rd century? Why can't the Section 31 show be in the 32nd century? I don't see any reason that they have to do a time travel back to the 23rd century. It could just be an entirely 32nd century show. USS Voyager J, yes, indeed. Which, unfortunately, you didn't get a real good look at the starships. The donut ship still looks stupid, in my opinion, even close up, while it looked better when you could see that it's really more of gosh, I'm trying to think, but like oh gosh, what's the ship from Galactica where they had the food growing in a natural environment, that kind of thing. And that's kind of what the donut ship was for. But, I still, yeah. Also, there was a USS Nog. I did not catch the USS Nog. I did not see it, but I also didn't, freeze frame it on all the ships, because quite frankly, I was not impressed by any of the ships. And Derek says, well, wait, Auntie moved? Yeah, she moves every now and then. Auntie, stop messing with that. G-Man, yes, G-Man from the Half-Life game. Mercer, thank you so much.
Do you still have a Discord? Also TPM review?
So, as far as Discord, yes, it has moved, and I probably, if this one does not have the right link in it, I need to get that fixed. But yes, the Discord is on a new one. So I will try to fix that in future live streams if the information is not correct. Locutus of Conservativeness says, all the crying makes me feel like Vulcan, just no emotion, is having the opposite effect of what it should. Yeah. Not speaking to the distressed man in their native tongue was a missed opportunity. It absolutely was. Not only that, but just the Burnham thing was just an insult. It was absolutely an insult. When I asked about Section 31, I meant, are they referring to some kind of war that happened between Georgiou's original viewers and the normal Star Trek? No. As you're talking about in the mirror universe thing, they're saying that the universes have been drifting further apart, and so now crossing over between universes isn't even possible. But he was also talking about the fact that the Empire had been overthrown centuries ago, which we saw in Deep Space Nine. I mean, they'd already well established that. So Mercer says, I already read that. And as far as TPM review, I'm not 100% sure what you mean on that. Yeah, not real sure on that one. And Captain Trek, if that's the link to my Discord, thank you, my friend, for putting that in there. I do appreciate it. And of course, now I got stuff popping on my phone, because why not? I'm just trying to, let's see, this Mrs. Anti-Checker. Oh, very cool. All right. And Darren says, okay, all kidding aside, hope you're feeling better. Don't tempt you. You make it sound like, don't make me send you a case of that soda. Yeah, that soda look, man. Also, Space Rainforest. Yes, indeed, we did have a Space Rainforest, but I was not as put off by that as the Burnham stuff. And Mercer, thank you so much, my friend.
Even Culver could have helped him over Burnham.
Culver, absolutely. That's the stupidest thing about this, is that of the three, and I don't know if you saw my review or not, Mercer, but I said this in my review. Of the three people, Burnham was the least qualified to talk to the guy. And so it made no sense. Now, if they sent Burnham over with, say, Tilly and Saru, okay, maybe Burnham would be the best person to talk. But they sent her over with the only native to their planet and a doctor. That one ship had in the cell half as big as their shielded donut. You would think that ship hauls butt. Yeah, except that with no dilithium, apparently they can't do much of anything. And in 900 years, they weren't able to come up with any viable substitute for the dilithium-based warp core, which makes no effing sense whatsoever. But yeah. And Honda's CBS All Access. Sorry to lose you. Made me inquire why. Just check out Anti-Trigger. Oh, sure. Now you're going to really get me in trouble, Marysville. Haunted Marysville, Montana. Thanks. Now CBS is going to actually come after me. I also liked how you could instantly tell who Georgiou was and how they told her how the Empire fell centuries ago, but their universe is moving away is odd. Yeah.
No reward is worth this.
And Ensign Ricky, thank
I
you
thought it was
so
a good
much.
episode all in all.
Oh, Ensign Ricky, I respectfully disagree. I did not. There were elements I did like. I actually thought that the hidden Starfleet shipyard was an interesting idea, although, quite frankly, it should have been in orbit around a planet, not just out in the middle of nowhere. I thought that what's his name that played the chief of Starfleet, I think he was interesting enough. A little too standoffish, but there were some really jaw-droppingly stupid moments because, like, for example, oh, well, we don't have anything that could corroborate your story. How about a working spore drive? How about 8 tons of dilithium? You know, basically that conversation was the dumbest moment in the show so far because he's like, oh, well, we can't prove anything you're saying is true. Tell you what, come on over to the ship. We'll use the spore drive and jump somewhere, and you can see that we actually have a magic spore drive that can get us anywhere in the universe. That was just that just infuriated me. Sorry, Ensign Ricky. So that really bugged me. That the dumb assery of this episode is what really, really pissed me off. Because, like, you know, the seed ship thing didn't really bother me, even though it was a bit contrived. And the fact that, okay, so everybody's blown away that Discovery is still functional after 900 plus years, but apparently they got a 900-year-old seed ship that's working just fine, and nobody freaks out about that. Whatever. Auntie, what are you doing, girl? Stop it. She is just getting on all sorts of trouble. Greg says, isn't putting Bounce of Terror on the same screen with Discovery kind of like mixing matter and antimatter? Yes, and they could do that to fix their lack of dilithium. Merce says, I watched Geloja after this episode, which had no stakes, but was infinitely better. Yeah, you know, that's the thing. Orville literally made a movie, or made an episode about taking a piss, and it was better than this episode of Discovery. Jay says, Romulan engines solve everything, but hey, they don't recant it. Well, Jason, we don't know that for certain. And there is also the possibility that the burn was an artificial event. Like, they've hinted at it a couple of times now. And that could actually bring some interesting ideas into this. But, and you're not alone in this, Jason. A lot of people have been out there saying, wait a minute, the Romulans use singularities, not matter-antimatter reactors, so they don't need dilithium. We don't know that. All we know is that their primary power source is in the D'Deridex specifically. They don't say anything about any other Romulan ships, but in the D'Deridex class, the power source is a singularity. That being said, we don't know if you still need dilithium to manage a warp field or anything like that. We do not know. That's not canonical evidence. We haven't seen it on screen ever. So they could say that the Romulan ships are not working. They might say that they're fine. We will see eventually, because one of the episodes is Unification 3, and I dare say that that will involve the Romulans and the Vulcans. And I also think that that is why we heard Spock's voice for a split second. Valor says, Viv brought up a good point. She thinks they are now just doing these things with Burnham just to anger the actual fans and double down with their crap. You see, but that makes no sense, Valor. I mean, I understand the idea there, but if they're that petty that they would actually risk destroying their show just to piss off a few people, like, look, I understand that if you're a producer of Trek, you find someone like Doomcock annoying, right? I could understand that because he's constantly going after you, even sometimes unfairly. And so if you were to do that just to piss people like him off, what good would it do? That's just going to drive his channel higher, because that's part of the reason he's popular, right? So I don't know. It just doesn't add up. Why are they hiding so hard? I do not know. That's one thing I did also mention. I think that Starfleet hiding behind a giant cloak is kind of silly. I could see them hiding space dock in orbit around a planet, but I can't see them hiding the entire Federation headquarters. I mean, it's like, no wonder they only have 39 or whatever planets now. I mean, they're hiding from everybody. But hey, whatever. Everybody's a coward now. I can't wait for Discovery Season 3 to be done so we can talk about better shows again. Yeah, kind of looking forward to that too. Dreams Out There says, I got the feeling that the Speed ship was a newer iteration, that the Seed ship was a newer iteration of the ship on the same mission, but different actual ship. Actually, I believe they actually do say it's the same ship. Because if I remember correctly, Burnham said, if that ship is still around, and the guy said, yeah, it's around, and we even know where it is. But it's 5 months away. Romulus was also destroyed. That is true, but there are Romulan ships out there. And the thing is that if the Romulans, the Romulans assembled quite a fleet of ships at the end of Picard. And just that fleet, think about it this way, Ensign Ricky, if the Romulan ships are unaffected by the burn, that single fleet could have wiped out the Federation. Jay says, yes, we do know based on how it's used in Federation. Yeah, well, we do know that how it's used in Federation ships, but we do not know how and if it's used in Romulan ships. We have no idea what the power systems of a Ferengi ship are, right? What is that, Auntie? What are you doing? Huh? Auntie, come here. She's going to get in trouble here. All right, so I will be right back because I got to make sure Auntie's not getting herself into trouble here. I'll be right back.
I may have a
Board vessels moving into range.
on screen.
Let's get lost in that magic place all alone now. Drink your fill from my fountain of love, wet your lips. I'm a man, I'm a teaser, I'm a man, well I'm a virgin, I'm a man, I'm a one-night stand, a man, I'm a man, I'm a man, I'm a dream, I'm a dream divine, make love together.
He's dead.
That dog. All right, so to deal with that, she was digging into a garbage bag, so now there's garbage spread out all over the place. I'm gonna have to kill her later. Kidding, not gonna hurt her, but no, a mess to clean up. Darren says Unification 3 is probably gonna be about a space station called Unification 3. Just watch. Oh man, that would be horrible. Yes. Greg says, isn't Kurtzman's the burn of the actual Star Trek universe who destroyed everything that made the franchise work? Kinda, yeah.
Is worth this?
Meant Phantom Menace review. Zari Culver sorta okay.
Saru and Culver are both interesting enough characters, Mercer.
I'm done with STD. Ready for the Expanse S5.
Oh yeah, Trace. You and me both. I'll tell you, but let me touch on what Mercer was saying real quick, because honestly, if you took Burnham off the show, the rest of the characters are interesting enough characters. And so every one of them, I don't have a problem with any of them except Burnham. Burnham is just grating and annoying. So the problem with the show is that they're basically centering every episode around the worst character in Star Trek history. So, which makes no sense. I wonder if they're actually confusing known. I wonder if some are just confusing actual known canon with soft canon with how. Or yeah, absolutely, Valor. As far as the Romulan thing, people know, like, what they said in actual continuity was Troy, since Troy was a spy on a Romulan ship briefly, she understands, and the line was that she when they were talking about the power source on a D'Deridex, she mentions that they use a quantum singularity for their primary power source. And that's it. That's all there is. There's no detailed engineering information on Romulan ships. All we know is that they use a singularity for their power source. So the assumption that they don't need dilithium is just that, an assumption. We don't know. It's just like people argue that Zefram Cochrane did not have dilithium to create his warp ship, the Phoenix. We don't know that either. People say, well, we know there's no dilithium on Earth. Why? When have they ever said that there's no dilithium on Earth? It's possible that dilithium just hadn't been discovered until Zefram Cochrane figured it out. Maybe dilithium is a rare form of quartz or whatever. We don't know exactly what it is or where it is. We do know it's not common. Was that the Romulan government or the Tal Shiar? I'm pretty sure those were all Tal Shiar, and they seem pretty disconnected in Picard. Well, that was a pretty sizable fleet. Even if it was all Tal Shiar, that means that the Romulans have a functional navy, even if that navy is entirely made up of Tal Shiar. Drew's out there. In the end, the seed vault didn't make sense. How the lighting effects move down the different cells of the wall until it produced a container. Each cell should be different deposit. Not only that, Dreamers out there, the seed vault ship is laughably small. If you look in the episode, and when Discovery grabs it with the tractor beams, the seed vault ship is like the size of a Winnebago. How could you possibly put all the seeds of all the planets in all the Federation in a Winnebago? It makes no effing sense. But, whatever. I'm sorry, but Voyager was not special enough for that, for the whole J thing. They could argue that it's because it was the first ship to go to the Delta Quadrant or whatever. First two seasons of Star Trek Discovery were a mess. Season 3 was a vast improvement in writing. In some way, I'll say this. There are some episodes in Season 3 where I would agree with you. There are some episodes in Season 3 I would not. And Ensign Ricky, thank you so much.
Cochrane was a lucky drunken idiot, kinda like Gene.
In a sense, you're right. And I know that a lot of people think that Cochrane was actually, they were purposely trying to make him like Gene. But yeah. Now we know the Cylon projection. Yeah, you know what, AK? It's so funny you should say that, because that is the first thing that popped into my head. I know I didn't mention in my review, is that now they're copying the Cylons. They're just using that lullaby instead of all along the watchtower. But yeah. In Star Trek Online, soft canon, every Romulan ship from the original Warbird to Balance of Terror to later ships use all singularity engines. We just don't know what they are in actual canon. Yeah. Well, what they do in Star Trek Online is unimportant. Honestly, I mean, if you like Star Trek Online, that's great. Don't get me wrong. I'm not into that game. I tried it. I'm a lifer in the game. I actually still have a membership because I'm a lifer, but very disappointing. Romulans minded, I assume mined dilithium on Remus. This is in Star Trek Nemesis, so we know they used it. Oh, there you go. Yeah, you're right. I didn't even think about that. So thank you, Dreamers out there. I completely forgot about this. Yeah, so if Remus was a giant dilithium mine, I guess they were using it. Jimmy says, should I even bother watching episode 5? Well, only if you plan on watching episode 6. There are moments in episode 5 that are good. Don't get me wrong. It's not 100% bad, but there are some very cringe-worthy moments. That's all I can say. Zefram could have developed synthetic dilithium. That's entirely possible, too. We don't know. because they never get into that. They only show what the Phoenix could do. Orville's coming back into production. Just love spending time with that crew. I am looking forward to Orville. I'm really looking forward to Expanse Season 5 coming up in just over a month. I'm very excited about that. Darth Maul says, the Siege restored in a quantum storage vault. It's bigger on the inside. Jeez, I don't even go there. Darren says, I find it interesting that the Starfleet of the alternate future found it appropriate to name the ship after a probe that nearly destroyed Earth and killed lots of people. Yes, Darren, you keep pretending. Jason says, could have only said mines on Remus. We don't know. Well, okay, if they didn't say dilithium mines, because I don't remember. Let me see. Dilithium mines. And let me see. All right, so according to Memory Alpha, let's see. Let's look up, find. All right, so political and historical. Remus and Romulus were the major worlds of the Romulan Star Empire. Remus was an important dilithium source and site of heavy weapons construction. Being forced to work in the dilithium mines, the Remans were regarded as an undesired caste in the Romulan society, but they also had the reputation of being formidable warriors. In 2379, Shinzon, a human clone imprisoned on Remus, became a praetor of the Romulan Star Empire by a coup that involved a murder, blah, 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 blah. So, at least according to Memory Alpha, yes, Remus has dilithium mines. But, you know, it's not, Memory Alpha isn't official canon, but they're supposed to use official sources only. So I remember Shinzon talking about working in the mines. I don't remember if he specifically said dilithium mines or not. I'd have to rewatch Nemesis. I love when Ed Mercy takes a shuttle to spy on his wife, and she catches him and acts like he and Gordon make up fake shuttle logs. Yes, that was a funny moment. And Darren Maul says, for me, Season 3 is a vast improvement over the last 2 seasons. I can't go that far right now because I'll say this. I think that Season 1 so far is the weakest of the 3. But right now, as a whole, granted, Season 3 isn't over yet, but right now, based on the trajectory of Season 3, I would say I like Season 2 better than Season 3 because I did really like the Pike, Spock, Burnham dynamic. That actually worked until the last episode where they crapped all over it. So we'll see. Dreamers Out There says, it's in the movie Star Trek Nemesis. They specifically say dilithium mines. Well, there you go. In that case, it is hard canon that, yes, the Romulans do use dilithium, or at the very least, they mine it for some reason, which would only make sense if they were using it. So, yeah. Mercer, what's that? The cartoon says you should give the game a try. What game? I'm seeing there's an experience game that allows you to walk around the oh yes, I have seen that. I think you would like that. Jason says, sorry I wasn't clear. They could have only been selling the dilithium from the mines and not using it. We don't know. Riffing off saying we don't know if they're used it in their engines. True. However, it would seem like it's because the Romulans are notoriously isolationist for the most part. They don't do a lot of interplanetary trade with the rest of the quadrant. So if they're mining it, they should have some use for it, but we don't know. We do also know that the Romulans were experimenting in others like trilithium and stuff like that. So we'll find out. AK thinks they sold it. That's how they could afford the fleet. Darth Maul says, if Classic Trek had a show with a ship set 1,000 years into the future, how would they have written it? Nothing like this, I can tell you that much. Did you notice Baby Yoda is starting to talk? Well, Baby Yoda has been making little noises like that from the beginning, but we'll see. And Mercer wants to know thoughts on people who accuse the child of genocide eating eggs. Only if you think you're genocidal for eating chicken eggs. I mean, they were not fertilized eggs. You could argue that it's kind of gross, but you know what? It's just eating. They're unfertilized eggs, people. They were not embryos or anything like that. You know, you could argue that Baby Yoda, that was kind of a dick move, assuming for a minute that Baby Yoda actually knew that those eggs were her eggs and what the purpose was. But we don't know what Baby Yoda's level of comprehension there was. Baby Yoda might have just said, something good to eat, and pops it in his mouth, like he did with the frog and with the face hugger. And, you know, so Baby Yoda does tend to eat a lot. But, you know, that's just my thoughts on it. Indy says, Detmer should be, or Dietmar, sorry, I know that drives Darren nuts, so I never get her name right. Dietmar, I think it is. Should be the helmsman, not the pilot, as established by all other Star Trek and naval tradition. Agree. It's her last chance to spawn. Without those eggs, her bloodline ends. Yes, but does Baby Yoda know that and understand that? That, you know, you do have to take into account motive. Baby Yoda is not evil unless Baby Yoda knows what he's doing when he does that. And my theory is that Starfleet caused the burn and the Admiral's trying to cover it up. He will turn into Lorca as the villain of the season. Not necessarily, Thomas, because keep in mind that he's not technically white, so he could still be okay. How youngest so big eating food of this kind? That's very poorly phrased, but I get what you're saying. Valerie says, as pretty as SJWs are, yes, I could actually say that they're willing to anger the... petty. I was like, you think they're pretty? That's kind of an odd thing to say, but as petty as SJWs are, yes, I could actually see they're willing to anger the fans and doubling down. The very fact that they made Earth and SF like their version of Trump and supporters. Well, you know, that's kind of funny to me. San Francisco, I assume you mean. The funny thing about that is that it all backfired, right? Because, honestly, Earth is a paradise. And Darren says, it's Detmer. You look, Dietmar. I'm sorry, it's the same thing. I mean, it's just with an accent. It's either Detmer or Dietmar. I can never remember. But I'm not saying it just to be insulting like some people do with other character names. Tomorrow I'm going to get the Art of Orville book. Might want to get the Evil Moss Orville. Very cool. Is the head of Starfleet a person of color? Yes, he is. I'm trying to remember, but I believe... I can never remember his nationality, the actor. Let's see. Let me look up the actor, Odad Fair. He's Israeli. And his first role was as Ardeth Bey in The Mummy, which I actually really liked. I liked him in that. And so, yes. He's basically Middle Eastern. Section 31 caused the burn to keep time travel around after its banning. Well, we'll see. I'm not sold on any of that yet. Valor says, I'm not trying to be political or anything with my last statement. Oh, no, I understand. SJWs are SJWs. When will Michael Burnham show up in The Mandalorian to save the child? See, the funny thing is, you're saying Detmer, it's pronounced Detmer, or Dietmar, it's pronounced Dietmar. The problem is that I don't know if the E is, long or short or whatever, but yeah, whatever. Dietmar was hot, so is Nan. I don't think Dietmar's hot, to be honest with you. I think she's an interesting enough character, but I don't find her particularly attractive. I think Nan is better looking than Dietmar, or Detmer. Now you see, now I don't remember what it is, and it's going to drive me crazy because you could write. The problem is you write DET-MER. That doesn't say anything different. It's still either Detmer or Dietmar. DET is not phonetically, but yeah, whatever. And let's see. Starfleet. Sorry, starting to say space. That's all right. I understand. And Mr. Pete is trying to suggest that North Africans and Middle Easterners are white. Whatever. Sorry. Disagree. Listen to the guy with an English degree. It's Detmer.
Waiting my news
Dietmar.
last night
That's-
on Mathau Virtual by you were clean shaven? Or am I nuts? Any President Harris needs me number 22.
Number 22. All right, Mr. Governor-elect Biden. All right, and I'm going to be wrapping up in just a minute, but let me get... And so Mr. Pete then writes it phonetically saying Detmer. Okay. At least we got the name drop of the token Asian dude. It's Reese. Well, actually, they've said his name a few times before. And then Indy says Detmer. If you have not yet joined, there's a Discord. Thank you, Captain Track. Dreamers out there says Detmer, not Dietmer. I try to remember Detmer. And then, of course, Darren wants to be insulting. Valor says, with two Mary Sues on the same show, how long till the Star Trek Discovery implodes? Good question. And notice they were complimenting each other at the beginning of the episode, too. Thomas says, you better watch out. Jeff was a great co-host last night. Awesome. That's good to hear. Yeah, I'm sorry I couldn't be there last night. Even now I'm struggling. What video editing software do you recommend? I use DaVinci Resolve. For the nice thing is it is free, and you can pay for it. If you pay for it, it unlocks certain features of it. But the basic product is 100% free. So DaVinci Resolve. It's an awesome, awesome program. Darren says you're insulting. Wow, that's just really, really original. I love how Tuscans have a relationship to placate the dragon like the Indians with the buffalo, only the Tuscans get no benefit other than not being eaten. Well, no, they got the pearl or whatever thing out of it. So that was that. And so, and thanks, Darren. Yeah, I'm ugly too. Well, you're feeling rather salty today, I can tell. And you are more than welcome, Mercer. Valor says, did you see Trek Yards reviewing the top Star Trek ships list? I've never seen Foley so mad before. No, I did not see that. And Foley mad? That sounds like a contradiction in terms. I mean, really, that doesn't make any sense. Yeah, they never had killed one. No, actually, we don't know that, Mercer. They just didn't kill that one. But, I mean, at least one other one has been killed. We saw it in A New Hope, right? So, we don't know. I know how to raise the rest of the money. Do a pay-per-view where you engage Darren in physical combat. That could be fun. But Darren has got health and youth advantage on me. I love how Favreau built a believable culture. I think Favreau's done a great job with Mandalorian. I truly do. All right, so I am going to wrap it up there, guys. And so with that, I'm sorry it's been a short live stream, but I'm just wiped out. But I wanted to get and hang out with you guys a little bit at least. And you take care of yourselves and all that good stuff. And Darren says, I also have a body fragrance. Well, if you mean, yeah, the huge stink coming off of you, yeah, you're probably right. And just for that, Darren,
I regret that we meet in this way. You and I are of a kind, in a different reality. You and I are of a kind, in a different reality.
This is the power of math, people!
I like science. I like science. I like science. Now, Skelda. I like...
Power of math, people! This is the